Coming up on News 2, 40-year-old Khaien Donawa, who's been reported missing by VIPD, has been found. But according to Donowa, he was never missing. Restructuring or privatizing WAPA and the LEAC are discussed at the Senate. More on the options and what may be implemented. Plus,
lawyers are questioning more potential jurors in the murder trial of George Zimmerman, the man who killed Florida teen Trayvon Martin.
hello, welcome, and thanks for joining us on this edition of News 2. I'm Sandra Mansing. The Senate Committee on Energy and Environmental Protection met Tuesday to consider two options to help address the territory's energy crisis. Officials from the Water and Power Authority, along with other experts in the field of energy, were invited to discuss the possibility of privatizing WAPA or separating the utility. News 2's Erica Parsons has more.
The increasingly high cost of energy has been at the forefront of the territory's discussions. Tuesday, senators invited WAPA officials and industry experts to offer their thoughts on the idea of privatizing WAPA.
Any serious attempt at privatization requires the undertaking of a comprehensive study.
Not all senators were on board with the idea.
I am going to be very clear. I'm not interested in any privatization of WAPA.
Executive Director Hugo Hodge outlined advantages and disadvantages of selling the government-owned WAPA to a private company. Some advantages would be that the private company has access to investment capital. It can provide tax revenues to the government, provide funds to reduce debt, and the profit incentive can motivate the company to deliver better outcomes. Some drawbacks would be that the government no longer receives profit. New ownership could result in lower safety standards. Staff downsizing could lead to layoffs, which adds to unemployment, and there could be an increase in cost to the ratepayer if services were previously subsidized by the government. Back monies owed WAPA have also impacted the fuel surcharge ratepayers experience monthly.
You have government entities like hospitals and other government agencies that are behind in their payment.
Yes.
What effect does that have on WAPA and maintaining units at the specific time they're supposed to maintain it, which will have a result on your efficiency and your heat rate?
When we're not paid all the revenue, we take the funds that we would have used for maintenance and we pay the fuel bill with it, and maintenance is deferred.
WAPA officials said they're moving as fast as they can to retrofit the utility to accept 3 types of fuel so that as the market moves, so can they.
Our plan right now is to convert the utility and the territory into a tri-fuel system where you can burn oil, propane, and natural gas, where you have the flexibility of not being tied to one commodity and its volatility, where you can look forward-looking trends.
Erica Parsons, News 2.
Senators also heard from energy experts on the feasibility of bill proposals to privatize the company or separate the utility into 2 companies. Senator Alicia Hansen is protesting the government's new online pay system. Government workers currently receive their pay via direct deposit, and as part of an overhaul of the old system. Pay stubs will only be available online starting in July. Hansen says not all government workers have internet access in their homes, and not all workers have office jobs with all-day access to a computer. She also expressed concern for retirees who may also be without internet service to access and review pay stubs. Finance officials said the pay stubs have been online for about 2 years now, but the paper stub will go away next month. They said anyone needing assistance to review their information can contact the Human Resources Department. Well, following the successful conclusion of the first USVI Economic Development Summit, Governor John DeYoung Jr. expressed his gratitude to the organizers of the June 7th event, which took place at the Navy Yard Conference Center in Washington, D.C. The summit attracted executives interested in learning more about the potential of doing business in the territory, current policymakers, government leaders, and VI business owners and operators.
Opportunity for us to give an indication to Virgin Islanders live in the United States that came to Washington, D.C., lived in Washington, D.C., and those interested in doing business with the Virgin Islands, exactly what's going on in a very coordinated way, from our investments in telecommunications to education to energy to just a host of areas, housing, economic development, business development.
Well, many will be paying their last respects to Allah F. Mullah, who passed away May 27, 2013. A viewing is scheduled from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Wednesday at Turnbull's Funeral Home. Services will be held on Thursday at the Holy Family Roman Catholic Church in Anna's Retreat, starting at 9 a.m. Burial will be at the family cemetery at Estate Nelchiburg. As a final tribute on Thursday as well, the staff and students at the Allah F. Mullah Elementary have organized a special musical performance on the school's campus, and that begins at 9 a.m. The students will also be releasing a dove in her honor. A VI family is asking for the community's help for their 4-year-old daughter. Michaela Francois was diagnosed in January with a rare blood disorder called Fanconi anemia. She needs a bone marrow transplant in order to ultimately survive. Michaela's parents, Tino and Tamara Francois, and other family members were tested, but no one was a match. Doctors told the North Carolina family they would have a greater chance finding a match in the VI, since that's where both parents are from. The family will be hosting a bone marrow drive on June 22nd from 9:30 to 3 at Lockhart Elementary School on St. Thomas. A similar drive will be hosted on St. Croix in the near future. And NEWS2 will have more on the upcoming drive and how you can help. A St. Croix man who was reported missing last week has been located safe and unharmed. On June 5th, Khaien Donawa was reported missing by his family. However, according to a statement from the VIPD, Donowa said he was never missing. We were unable to get more information from the VIPD. Police issued an all-points bulletin on Donowa as well as the vehicle. Again, VIPD says he has been located. Well, Captain Kyle Coleman, 33 years of age, pleaded guilty to operating the motor vessel Turtle in a negligent manner. CWS Tours LLC, which owned the vessel, acknowledged that it was negligent with respect to the vessel Monday in district court. You may remember the fatal accident just outside the Charlotte-Amalie Harbor in 2011 that left tourist 60-year-old Bernice Krafchek dead and her daughter Danielle Haas severely injured. The two were hoisted into the air for the parasail ride as wind conditions were deteriorating. A weak tow line caused the tow line to break, resulting in the parasail separating from the vessel and the two women falling into the water. The wind then propelled the parasail with the women still attached at a very high rate of speed. Coleman faces a maximum penalty of 1 year incarceration and a $5,000 fine plus restitution to the victims. CWS Tours faces a maximum penalty of 5 years probation and $250,000 plus restitution to the victims. Tony Jefferson Brown, 30 of St. Thomas, was arrested today and charged with using the internet to coerce and entice 3 female minors to engage in sexual activity, announced United States Attorney Ronald Sharp. Brown made his initial appearance in district court before U.S. Magistrate Judge Ruth Miller and was ordered held without bail pending a detention and preliminary hearing on June 12, 2013. According to documents filed in district court, Brown made contact with the minors on Facebook, developed a friendship with them, and then persuaded them to send nude photos of themselves. After receiving the photos, Brown threatened to place the minors' nude photos on the internet if they did not have sex with him. At the time of the arrest, Brown was a self-employed plumber. If convicted, Brown faces a statutory minimum penalty of 15 years in prison. A key vote in the U.S. Senate today could be the starting point for changing the way this country looks at immigration. Both the White House and Congress agree on one thing: the U.S. immigration system is broken. But how it should be fixed is where the debate starts. We get more from Tara Mergener on Capitol Hill.
For the first time in nearly 3 decades, the Senate is tackling immigration reform. Lawmakers took to the floor in both Spanish and English to call for sweeping changes to broken immigration laws.
The Gang of 8 has done its work. Now it's time for the Gang of 100 to do its work.
Mrs. Murray.
Senators voted Tuesday to move ahead with debate on a bill for Republicans and for Democrats, known as the Gang of 8, put together. The legislation would create a pathway to citizenship for the nation's 11 million illegal immigrants, but only after border security improvements are made.
The bill was carefully crafted to win support from both sides of the aisle, but several Republicans are concerned the borders won't be secured and say it rewards those who ignored the law.
This is legislation that is a flawed legislation, fatally flawed, and it should not become law.
Ensuring the bill does pass is a top priority for President Obama. He gathered immigration supporters at the White House to try and sway those not convinced the bill has teeth.
If passed, this bill would be the biggest commitment to border security in our nation's history.
The president is pushing Congress to get the legislation on his desk by the end of the summer. Tara Mergener for CBS News, Capitol Hill.
And keeping our eye on the economy, Sony has fired the first shot in the latest video game price war. Its latest PlayStation 4 console will retail for $399, $100 less than Microsoft's new Xbox. And unlike the Xbox, the PS4 will run secondhand games and not have to be constantly hooked up to the internet. Both gaming consoles will hit stores this fall, just in time for the holidays. This is the New York Stock Exchange with Scotiabank Stock Market Watch. The Dow, Nasdaq, S&P all down. The Dow 160, Nasdaq 36, S&P 16. Coming up on News 2, health officials remind us that the chances for dengue fever are greater during the hurricane season and offer some tips for prevention. But first, would you know how to spot the Aedes aegypti mosquito? We'll tell you. Engineers began assessing structural damage to St. John's Centerline Road in preparation for an emergency repairs project on the damaged thoroughfare. That's the word from Public Works Commissioner Darrell Smalls. He says the Federal Highway Administration, which is providing funding for the project, recently approved the department seeking bids to renovate the storm-damaged road.
Again, I just want to reiterate the commitment of the Department of Public Works, the government of the Virgin Islands, to the residents of St. John who traverse along Centerline Road, especially going in down into the Coral Bay area. We recognize the critical nature of this road, and we're going to be doing everything within our powers, within our resources, to make the necessary interim safety precautionary measures, or I should say implement safety precautionary measures to alleviate the concerns and fears that the motoring public has.
Hovenza's wholesale price of gas went down this week. Regular gasoline by 6 cents per gallon and premium gasoline by 3 cents per gallon. The rack rate for diesel fuel did not change this week. Independent gas station operators in the territory will pay $3.19 per gallon for regular gas, $3.68 per gallon for premium gas, and $3.38 for diesel fuel when they buy their fuel wholesale at Hovenza. Well, did you know the mosquito that transmit the viruses that cause dengue fever, the Aedes aegypti mosquito, looks different from others? Or that while many mosquitoes bite at night, dawn, or dusk, aegypti readily bite during the day? Well, the VI Department of Health reminds us that the chances for dengue fever are greater during the hurricane season and offers some tips for prevention. The VI Department of Health warns that the chances for dengue fever are greater during the hurricane season. There are more rains during June to November, and more rains mean more mosquitoes. VI Department of Health's Eunice Bedminster says as they were gearing up for their annual dengue fever alerts campaign, a survey was conducted, and it was revealed that many people don't know what the Aedes aegypti mosquito look like and where they mostly reside. The Aedes aegypti is a small black mosquito with white stripes on its legs. They prefer to bite indoors and primarily bite humans. They also bite primarily during the day. Residents and visitors need to take precautions against being bitten once dengue is in the community. According to the Department of Health, people who are sick with dengue should not take aspirin and ibuprofen, as this could increase the chances of bleeding in a patient with dengue. Also, patients with dengue should try to avoid being bitten by mosquitoes so that they do not transmit the dengue virus to mosquitoes that could then bite and infect others. Dengue symptoms mimic the flu, but include high fever, rash, headaches, pain behind the eyes, and joint and body pain. Here are some tips. Wear clothing that protects you from mosquito bites. Long sleeves, long pants, closed shoes, hats. Apply insect repellent only to exposed skin or clothing. Protect infants. Cover cribs, strollers, and baby carriers with cotton mosquito netting at all times, day and night, both inside and outside of your home. Dress babies in loose cotton clothing that covers arms and legs. Empty water out of old drums, tires, plants in water, plastic containers, and other items that are not being used. Turn outdoor containers upside down when not in use to prevent water collection or drain them weekly. Make sure your cistern is tightly covered and that the outflow pipe is covered with a screen or mesh so that the mosquitoes cannot get inside and lay eggs. Seek medical help immediately if you suspect dengue. Health Commissioner Doris Plaskett is urging all healthcare providers to report all suspected cases of dengue to the Department of Health as mandated by law. And the department will issue advisories and schedule routine larviciding. Larviciding is environmentally friendly and involves placing mosquito abatement chemicals in standing water that cannot be drained to kill off mosquito larvae, which are young mosquitoes that live in water, to prevent them from maturing into flying adult mosquitoes. There is a lot in store for the annual Father's Day celebration, the weekend celebration in Frenchtown, which gets underway on Friday, June 14th and runs through Sunday, June 16th. For 3 nights, live entertainment will be provided in the Father's Day Village. The opening ceremony takes place at 7:30 p.m. on Friday. The crowning of Miss Carnage, Keza Maria Hodge, a ribbon cutting to officially open the village, and entertainment by DJ Tony T of 105 Jams, Sweeta Band, and Spectrum Band. Now on Saturday, the Virgin Islands National Guard Calypso Band and then Top Notch Band featuring many others will take to the stage. On Father's Day afternoon, the get-together Scratch Band, that begins at 4 p.m. Followed later in the night by Cool Sessions Brass out of Love City, St. John at 7 p.m. on Sunday, and awards presentation will be held as well. Well, jury selection continued today in the murder trial of George Zimmerman. The former Neighborhood Watch volunteer says he shot unarmed teenager Trayvon Martin in self-defense. Prosecutor says Zimmerman racially profiled the teen before shooting him. Marley Hall has the latest details from the courthouse in Sanford, Florida.
George Zimmerman arrived at court for the second day of jury selection, a process that could take about 2 weeks.
You come with a blank slate right now.
Yeah, I would say that, yes.
Zimmerman took notes as lawyers for both sides questioned another group of potential jurors. First up was juror B7, who said he thought it was inappropriate that people have taken sides in the case before the trial.
Absolutely, you should not be convicted in a court of public opinion.
Police here in Sanford are prepared for the type of massive demonstrations that followed the killing of Trayvon Martin last year. But for the past 2 days, it's been peaceful outside the courthouse. 3 protesters who want to see Zimmerman convicted held up signs outside the court today.
It's hard to hold back your emotions.
Trayvon's dad, Tracy Martin, told CBS News he doesn't want the trial to fuel racial tensions.
When you have that racial disparity, it's just a storm waiting to happen. So we hope that that doesn't play a part.
Juror B35, a middle-aged African-American man, told the court today that he does not think the shooting was racially motivated. Marley Hall for CBS News, Sanford, Florida.
And stick around, your News 2 AccuWeather forecast is coming up next.